Your body is a hybrid, and in this video I'll be explaining how to operate this hybrid more effectively. We will be using an analogy of a hybrid car. It's a car that has two engines, an electrical engine and a combustion engine. This maps perfectly onto your human body. You also have two engines, two modes of operation, electrical and combustion. Now, when I talk to you, I'm not talking to your body. I'm talking to you. You, the consciousness. You are the driver in this car, and you're also the control system of this car, meaning that you're seated in the driver's seat of this car, and you're also integrated with the car. So this is your vehicle, you, consciousness. You're the driver of this vehicle, and you're also integrated with the vehicle. And when I use the term evolution of consciousness, I'm referring to the level of your integration with the vehicle that you're currently inhabiting. At earlier stages of evolution, your integration with your vehicle is minimal, and efficiency of your operation of this vehicle is minimal as well. As you evolve from lifetime to lifetime, you gain skills and understanding of the machine. You increase efficiency of operation of this machine. Now, this car analogy will serve those of you who are aiming for the state of flow, state of bliss, joy, abundance, creativity, love. Those are all effects of electrical mode of operation. And if you are unknowingly operating in combustion mode and aiming for the effects of electrical mode, no wonder you're not getting there. With this video, we will try to understand the difference between these two modes, how to recognize in each given moment what mode are you operating in, and how does that switching occur from combustion to electrical. First of all, let's understand why do we have two engines? Why is there two modes? Simply because human body is a very complex machine. When you incarnate in a human form for the first time, you have no idea how this thing works. You don't know how to interpret the signals from inside the machine, how to properly use sensors of this machine to tune them and to be able to receive and properly understand and interpret signals from the environment, from other people. So at those earlier stages of your evolution in human body, you misunderstand a lot of signals from within and from the outside of the machine. So you misinterpret the signals and you make a lot of mistakes. So in your first lifetimes in human form, you don't last long. You make mistakes, you run into a wall pretty quickly, and you have to start over. So simply because the machine, which is a human body, is a very complex one, it takes you time to understand all the systems, all the functions of this machine. To master this machine, you need time, practice, to gain skills, which you can only do by making mistakes. So you need a mode of operation that would allow you to make mistakes. That's why you need combustion mode. Combustion is a very forgiving mode of operation. You can imagine it as a diesel truck, which will run even if you put some crude, dirty fuel. It will still run. Maybe it will struggle, maybe it will make a lot of noise, maybe it will produce a lot of toxic waste, maybe a lot of internal friction will appear, a lot of energy will be lost as heat, but diesel truck will still run. That's what you need at earlier stages of your evolution in human body. That's what you need. A mode of operation that allows you to make mistakes, put some poison into this body, run into a wall once in a while, and break some parts of the machine when you don't yet know how to perform maintenance of this diesel truck. the diesel truck will still run. That's why you need combustion mode, because the machine is complex and it takes you time to learn to operate it. Combustion mode is forgiving, unlike electrical mode. And even though you, as consciousness, you are electrical, your nature is electrical, and it would be absolutely natural for you to just exist in state of flow as electricity does. But you can't afford flowing directly through a machine which you don't yet understand. If you're not yet integrated with this machine and you try to connect it to source of high voltage, you will simply electrocute yourself. Source of high voltage is your source. You always have access to source. You as consciousness, you're connected to it at all times. But if you try to operate right away, now, today, go electrical, you will just burn parts or the whole machine at once if you try to do that. That's why I keep warning you from rushing into this electrical mode, into trying to awaken kundalinis and try to get into that flow state by using substances or using assistance of people who offer you help, who offer to connect you to source directly. If your internal structure is not ready, by allowing someone to connect you to source directly, you will just let them burn parts of you or burn the whole thing, damage it for the rest of this lifetime. So once again, I warn you, please don't rush. Please don't try to go too fast, faster than you are prepared to go. Now, to understand this difference between these two modes, electrical is not forgiving, combustion is forgiving. Why is not electrical mode forgiving? If you think of any electrical system, any device that you know that requires electricity for its operation, let's just take simple socket in a wall. If I want to plug a toaster into my wall, I need to make sure that someone has laid cable inside that wall and that cable goes all the way to the power source, uninterrupted. Okay? So that cable inside my wall has to have a quality of absolute structural integrity. For me to be able to just plug a toaster in and have it work, I have to make sure that structural integrity is in place. I can't have a cable that is almost complete, that goes all the way to source and almost gets to the socket, but it's just missing just a tiny bit of cable. That's not going to work. It has to be perfect. Same as if you take any device and you look at all the parts that it consists of. That device has to have that quality of absolute structural integrity. Precision is there. All parts are connected properly in specific sequence. Only then we can connect electrical current to that device without risking to burn parts of the device or device as a whole. Okay, so electrical system is asking, it requires precision and absolute structural integrity. So if we want to operate in electrical mode, we have to first make sure that our internal electrical structure is perfect. You have to build that structure. You have to lay those cables within your body before you attempt to operate in electrical mode. Otherwise, you just electrocute yourself. So What is that structural integrity? You build that internal structure by completing the puzzle of understanding of this physical reality. With every experience that you live, every mistake that you make, you extract some information from it, some little pieces of the puzzle. And as soon as the puzzle is complete, we can consider that you understand the physical reality, your internal structure is ready. Now we can plug you into the source. And that plugging into the source will happen automatically. You, as a control system of your machine, you will perform that plugging because you constantly scan the whole system to identify in each given moment what is the least wasteful way of producing movement in this machine. You determine that by measuring resistance in the system. There is a major difference in how two of these systems, how they relate with resistance. An electrical system does not want too much resistance to be present. Okay? If we want electricity to run through a cable, we prefer a cable that has minimal or no resistance. Okay? If it's a perfect conductor. And as resistance rises, flow of electricity becomes harder and harder. And that resistance, once control system detects resistance, that's what causes you, consciousness, to switch the mode of operation to combustion, because that's where resistance belongs. Relationship to resistance. Here, it's not wanted. It should be minimal or not present, if possible. In combustion, resistance is a perfect thing. Resistance is the fuel for combustion. How? Why? Let's understand that. What is a combustion engine? As in any diesel truck that we can use as an example, we have to put some fuel into this combustion system. We need fuel. We have to ignite that fuel. It starts burning. As it burns, it expands, and by expanding, it pushes the piston. Okay, that's how the movement is generated in a combustion engine. Movement is generated by series of explosions. Okay, tension is generated by burning something. Tension builds up, builds up, builds up. When it reaches its maximum, it propels you forward. And if you operate in combustion mode, that's how you perceive your whole life. It is a series of explosions. It is intensity, tension, resistance. Those would be the qualities of life that you perceive around yourself. And you would describe your life or yourself or your life story or the whole world around you as full of things to resist, full of resistance, full of tension. And I want you to understand that it's not quality of the world. It's your perception looking at the world from the position of combustion system. Combustion engine needs fuel, needs a spark to ignite it. It needs fire burning, pressure being generated, tension held, and then explosion to happen to keep you running. That's how you operate in combustion mode. So if you describe yourself and your life as intense, full of intensity, experiences are all very intensive emotions you experience are intense, and if you like emotions that are intense, and when I talk about state of stillness, you feel uncomfortable. You might say that, yeah, that sounds good, all very spiritual, that state of bliss and stability and stillness, but it's kind of boring. That's not who I am, you would say. You would say that I like intense emotions. I don't want to give up those emotions. I want to experience intense excitement or depth of the ups and downs of my emotions. And if that's how you describe yourself, then you might be a bit upset to realize that those are not descriptions of your character. Those are not your personal traits. Those are just characteristics of a machine that prefers combustion. Combustion loves intensity. It cannot exist without intensity. Imagine a diesel truck, a combustion engine that would like to operate without any intensity building up within itself. It's pretty much equal to not even existing at all. Okay, so for combustion system, stillness is death. You can't stop running. You have to keep burning fuel. And here we go to the keywords of combustion mode so that you can recognize maybe some of these traits and some of these characteristics of combustion mode, if they're present in your life at this time or not. If keywords would be more, hunger. That is the fuel pump in a diesel truck. When it's detecting that you're running out of fuel, you'll experience it as desire for more. More of what? Whatever, anything. More food, more money, more experiences, more emotions, more love, more people, more. Once again, if you think that that is somehow description of your personality, you are someone who likes, who just wants a lot of things, has a lot of desires. That's once again not your personal trait. It's a description of how combustion engine operates. It constantly has the fuel pump active. It keeps your attention focused on seeking fuel. Okay, keyword, more. I want more. Sometimes you might say, I want something, I don't even know what. I just want something, more of something. And you might have good things in your life, but you would feel bored and you would feel like, I don't know if everything seems fine, I have a good life, good relationship and everything, but I just want something else, something new, something fresh. That's once again just fuel pump asking for fuel. Another keyword is tension, intensity, pressure. That's where you either you describe your life, your childhood, for example, as very intense, where parents were applying pressure to you. If not parents, then maybe your boss, maybe your partner, maybe life in general, world, reality, whoever else. Someone has to be applying pressure to you. If you're operating in combustion mode, pressure must be present. You need pressure to exist. Okay? How you generate that pressure, that's your problem. Either you find someone who puts that pressure on you, or if no one in your life puts pressure on you, then you will generate that pressure from within. That's self-criticism, self-doubt, self-sabotage, and all of those. You do all of that weird stuff just to build up intensity in the moments when no one else is giving you that pressure. The key word is intensity, pressure, tension. You need it. It's not your enemy. It's just how combustion mode operates. Now, you can fuel a machine, this human machine, in three ways. You can fuel it on the physical level, on energetic level, and on mental level. Okay, there's three types of fuel that this machine runs on. It's actual food, it's emotions, and it's information. Okay, these three levels. And you can determine for yourself what is your primary source of fuel. What do you prefer? Which one of these three? That's where you will have most of your attention, either on ideas or on emotions or on physical objects. Okay? And whatever you're consuming most of the time, that would be your primary energy source. And you will constantly seek either more information to swallow, more intensity, emotional intensity. Okay, you'll be seeking people who you can rub against, some neighbor that you can resist, that just causes that internal tension, friction within you. And if you just do a simple exercise, you can just take a blank sheet of paper and write down all the things that you don't like in this life. Things you don't like about yourself, things you don't like about your family, your parents, your kids, your partner, your colleagues, your neighbors, this world in general. What seems wrong to you here? Whatever you don't like would be the things that you are using as fuel. Those are the things that you resist, even if those are things you don't like. It's the habit of your wife or your husband, for example. I don't like when my wife does that, when my husband does this. That specific thing you don't like, that specific thing that you choose to resist, that is the place where you are using that person as fuel for your combustion system. Yes, you're burning your loved ones to generate energy, to keep your combustion system running. So for those of you who wish to discover that switch and go in this electrical mode, to enter that flow state, you would have to give up everything on that list of things that you don't like, whether it's like dolphins dying somewhere in the ocean or global warming, whatever else you don't like. You have to manage to become fine with that. Remove resistance to all of those things, however long your list of things you don't like is. That's how much work you would have to do to prepare your internal structure to switching from constant combustion to flow. Okay, probably a lot of work. If you actually do the list, you'll see how many things you consider wrong. And here we would go with my favorite line, that everything is always right. That is the formula that allows you to switch. Because if you still resist dolphins dying somewhere, then obviously you would resist like that's not right, that's wrong, obviously that's wrong. Or that political structure of some country that you will never visit, that's wrong. If you find things around yourself to resist, it means you're still far from shifting to flow. Now that's where most of your work needs to be done. Now that structure that we're building inside your vehicle, the electrical structure, which allows you to become this conductor of electricity. That electrical structure has to be complete, absolute, before that switching occurs. Now, how can you detect if your internal electrical structure is ready or not? How can we scan that wiring? Unfortunately, I don't have a device for that yet, but there is a way to check your structural integrity if we use integrity as in honesty. Honesty meaning that your 3 top chakras are fully aligned, meaning that what I say I want perfectly matches what I think I want and what I want. Okay, 3 levels. Who I am, who I think I am, and who I say I am have to match perfectly. That's honesty. That's integrity, how you can check someone or yourself for structural integrity. There has to be no mismatch between these 3 points. Okay? 3 top chakras. Who you are, who you think you are, and who you say you are. And only once those 3 are aligned, and only once there is no contradiction between those 3 points, only then the control system will allow the switching from combustion to electrical. If the system detects any mismatch between those 3 points, if it detects in resistance, you go in combustion automatically, because that's where resistance is wanted. That's where resistance belongs. So now, this whole thing about resistance, we will have to work deeper on understanding the function of resistance, that it's actually a very useful mechanism that allows you as consciousness to evolve, to grow, and to expand. There is no way to expand when you are in your natural flowing state. In order to learn something new, in order to expand your boundaries, you have to generate some resistance. You have to go through that suffering, through that destruction. Unpleasant maybe, but that's what you wanted. That's what you chose when you came into the physical. You wanted to go through this pressure, go through this tension to build new structures, to learn new things, and to create a new version of yourself. And relationship with resistance is a key element of this whole process of evolution of consciousness in human form. Now, if we want to examine the fuel, let's say here, the fire that allows both of those engines to run, in both cases, it is the fire element that animates the machine. The difference is in density of that fire. In electrical mode, it's fire that does not burn. Okay, that's the light. That's what we refer to as electricity. It's once again, it's a representation of the element of fire, but in its more elevated form. While in combustion mode, we're working with the raw version of fire, as in forest fire. Okay, and in both cases, it's fire element, but we have to first master the raw version of fire. Once we master that, owning that fire while being in the physical form, then we can be ready to shift in electrical mode and rest. I guarantee you, if you shift in electrical, you'll stay in that mode for a while, you'll get bored. You'll want to go back in combustion to experience that fire, that intensity, that discovery once again. So let's understand the difference between these two forms of fire. Electricity, in order for it to run, all it needs is for us to provide it a structure to run through. Okay, so we don't have to fuel an electrical car. Okay, we just need to have the structure ready and plug it into a power source, get the system running. We just simply allow electricity to run through a prepared structure. In case of combustion, the fire is the form of this fire. Let's examine it in more detail. If we want to understand what does that element of fire, raw fire, does in us, let's imagine me as fire. If I'm fire, I need to keep burning in order to keep existing. I can't stop. I cannot take breaks. If a fire dies, it dies. It cannot be restarted. That same fire, it will not be restarted. We can find a spark, create a spark, and start a new fire. But one fire, if once it dies, it's over. So if I'm fire, I want to keep existing. In order to keep existing, I have to keep consuming fuel. I have to keep eating constantly, simply to keep existing. I have to constantly search for fuel. That fuel, either physical or energetic or mental, I will be on either one of these three levels. I will be in constant search for something to burn, simply because I need to, simply because of my nature of, if I'm fire, I will have a skill of determining what things are more eatable than others. Okay, that quality of discernment in you, that is fire. Fire allows you to detect differences. If I'm fire and there is a forest in front of me, I will be moving towards the forest because I need to keep burning things to exist. And I will be very good at choosing things that burn faster and burn easier. Okay, and I will choose, if there is, I don't know, dry wood and wet wood, I will move faster towards the dry wood. And my ability to detect differences between all sorts of fuels, things that could possibly be burned or things that cannot be burned, your ability to detect differences, to your ability to compare and see changes, differences. All of that in your consciousness is performed by the element of fire. Someone who has developed fire element will be quick at discernment, will be quick at spotting differences and choosing the best thing. Those in whom fire is hardly burning will be a bit slower on that. Now, what else do we need to understand about fire in you? It is something that is afraid of water. Water. What is water for fire? For fire, water is guaranteed death. Okay? Forest fire can be stopped by a river, for example. It can be stopped by a lot of water. But the amount of water needed to stop a big fire, of course, also has to be big. So you will be afraid of big water. You will not be afraid of small amounts of water. Water here is emotions. If you've been watching my previous videos where I spoke about emotions, about mother, about merging of mother and child, all of that was me preparing you for this introduction to the fire element. Because before you even step into any exercise with fire in you, you have to first become really good with water in you. Water is your emotions. Water is your perception of time. Water is the quality of you which allows you to merge with things. Okay? Now, if you haven't watched any of the water mother videos, and if you haven't understood the idea of water element in you, then experimenting with fire is not a good idea. You will not manage that shift. Water is the key here. Why? Because if I'm fire, I see a forest in front of me. I see trees and bushes, animals, people, whatever else in there. I'm moving towards this forest. I'm going to burn things, and I'll burn first the most attractive things, and then I'll burn everything else. And I will not be interested in another fire. If there's fire somewhere near me, I'm not going to move in that direction because there's probably nothing there to eat. If there's fire present on some territory, it's probably already eaten everything that was eatable over there. So I will not be seeking for fire in other people. Okay? We're talking about your interactions with the world and with people. You are seeking people with potential. People that can serve you as fuel. People that can be consumed, burnt. That's how you found me. My material on this YouTube channel, if you watched some of it, what pulls you towards my videos is that I'm giving you a lot of fuel, a lot of food. On the information level, I'm giving you a lot of food to consume, and what pulls you is that your inner fire detects potential here. Okay, you look at this material and you see that it's some good fuel. It's petroleum. A lot of stuff can be extracted from it. A lot of work can be done generated by burning this type of fuel. Okay, and my work here is to make sure that the fuel, the food that I'm providing you is full of nutrition, that it's not just pure sugar, not just empty calories, that there is some protein, some structural elements that you will not just burn and move on, that you will burn and you will use as building blocks for your internal structure. Okay, so that's what is attracting you towards people, towards teachers, towards my channel. You see potential, you see fuel, something eatable, something consumable, something that can be burned, absorbed. Now, when you we go back to the forest again. We have forest and there's all kinds of trees and animals in front of me. I will move and first burn the most tasty ones, then burn everything else. But as I move through that forest, everything that I leave behind is ash. Okay, that's my magical power. If I am fire, I turn everything into one unified mass. Something that before had differences. It was this tree and that tree. They had some features that differentiated them from each other. Once I'm done with them, they will be all just one mass. And that is what you might be very much afraid of when you're dealing with people, with yourself, with life, with your partners, with whatever your any interactions that you have. The fire in you wants to avoid being fuel for someone else, because there is a risk that if they burn you, they will turn you into ash, and you, as fire, you stop existing. Okay? That might be what is stopping you from shifting from this combustion mode over to a higher mode of functioning. You have to go through this stage of ash. Ash. What does that quality, what is the main quality of the ash? It is one unified mass. It has the quality of oneness. It has the quality of unity, unification. There is no identities left. It's all just one mix. And that unity, oneness, is the quality of water element. Okay, as in ocean, if I add a drop to the ocean, it becomes just one with everything. I cannot then later find that one same drop. And that's what you, as consciousness, which operates in fire mode, is most afraid of. You are afraid of becoming one with everything else, one with the ocean. Now you experience yourself as someone who has identity. You feel that sense of separation from everything else, uniqueness. You're different, you're special, you're special in your misery, at least, in some way at least, you're special. And you want to preserve those boundaries, that separation from everything and everyone else. And that's why you will be avoiding going through that stage of dissolution, going through that stage where your identity is fully dissolved and where you become the part of this mass of ash, or you become part of the ocean. Okay, please grasp the symbolism of these elements. How ash represents the element of water. Water is the element that connects us all. If you activate the element of water and you merge with all the water that exists on earth, you become one with everything that has water. But you lose identity, that's separateness from everything else. You cannot keep identity and yet at the same time understand or experience being water. Okay, that's where you stop. Most of you are not able yet to pass through that water gate. That is the level that prevents you from entering electrical mode too early, before you're ready. Okay? The gate is water. Gate is emotional sphere. Okay? Emotions in this car analogy, emotions would represent so many functions. But first thing that we can discuss today is that emotions are the communication, way of communication between consciousness and machine. Okay, that's how you understand. That's how you understand the machine, how machine understands you. Water is your means of communication. Okay, the easiest way I can phrase it. Today we will go into examining these emotions in frames of this car analogy later, if you'll be interested in that. But here, just grasp the basic logic, because in all of my videos I'm talking about the same thing. all 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 I talk about the same idea. I just find new and new ways of explaining it. Okay, I come up with new analogies, trying to explain it to you better. So these two modes would be, the combustion mode is the reptile brain, and electrical would be the cortex being activated. And if you remember from that brain analogy, the third element, the middle level of the brain, would be the limbic system. That's where emotions live. Okay, so that's where all the work is done, in the limbic system. That's where all the mastery has to be achieved, in water element, in your emotional sphere. Okay, that is the key to that shift that you're aiming for. Now, I'll just throw a few more analogies to connect for you, for those who are watching my channel for a while, just so you connect analogies to each other. If you're new to this channel, if it's the first video that you're watching, then it will not make sense to you. Just skip this part. For those who are following for a while, you will remember the logic of true light and false light. Okay, it's the same thing. Here, there's a lot of thoughts you have. They will be all based in resistance. You either resist others or you resist yourself. You always need to resist something, and all the thoughts in combustion mode are rooted in resistance. Even your desires are rooted in resistance to absence of the desired thing. Okay, false light, true light. Then the last video about the radio analogy. Once again, we have transmitter mode, receiver mode. Okay, as long as you are in combustion mode, you are always a receiver. You cannot technically be a transmitter. You cannot generate your own thought. You cannot generate your own will as long as you are in combustion mode. You might have glimpses of electrical mode if you fall in love with someone for 2 weeks, or if you have a wave of creativity that lasts for a while. You operate in electrical mode, and then something just pushes you out of that mode. So you will, once again, you might be channeling something for a period of time, then you go back to combustion until you master the system. Receiver, transmitter. In order to master both, you have to understand emotions. Once again, water, mother, merging, emotional sphere. What those signals mean, how do we interpret them, how do we process them. Those are all the keywords that you should already be familiar with if you're watching me for a while. Once again, if you remember a card, if it's not showing it properly, but you know the eighth arcana from the classical tarot deck, called Strength. And here we will see a girl and a lion. Once again, the girl represents electrical mode of operation. Lion represents combustion mode. Okay, this is your cortex mode. This is reptile mode. And the whole magic of this transformation is in relationship between them. The emotional sphere, the limbic system, the water, the love, the interaction between them is the key to understanding this whole mystery that we're discussing. Okay, it's all the same thing in all of my videos. I'm explaining over and over and over, hoping for one magical day when it finally clicks for you. Until then, I will keep trying and will keep coming up with new analogies for you. Let me know if this car analogy worked for you or not. If you have some clarity from this logic, and if you want to go deeper into breaking down this hybrid car structure and relationship between these two modes. We still have very important element here that has to do with regenerative braking, which is the magic of alchemy. And we can discuss that, and we can discuss emotions as in, at least the function of emotions as the signals on your dashboard of your car. Okay? All the signals that you see, such as fuel tank empty, that's the desire, or proximity sensors firing up, that would be anxiety. Okay, if you learn to interpret your emotions as signals from the machine to the driver, that could help you shift from combustion to fully developed hybrid mode. You will never become fully electrical. As long as you have a human body, you will always be a hybrid. The only difference is if you're aware of the machine's functioning, or if you live only under the impression that combustion engine is all there is. Okay? Our work is to master combustion engine and get access to electrical, and then be able to switch between them according to the situations that we're encountering in our life. We want to have access to both, okay? Because they both have their benefits. Okay, that's enough for today. I hope to record a few more topics. We'll see how it goes. But emotions and regenerative braking, I will record for sure. So wait for that. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.